Hey everyone, welcome back. Pittsburgh's Golf, Shriners Children's Open. Andy, what's going on, bud?
Just getting in the mood for Vegas, baby. It's Vegas.
It is.
It's crazy that this one isn't it's more of a party one. They should do some events around this. They don't have a problem having a party event in Phoenix, Scottsdale. Like, why can't we do it with a much bigger party town? Instead, this is just kind of a one-off that nobody goes to. The crowds are kind of sparse. It's not that great of a course. And the other thing too is, like, of all the TPC courses, Scottsdale doesn't have, like, it's not in like a neighborhood. Like
Right.
all of those other TPC courses, it's like, oh, this is like in someone's fucking yard. You're walking through people's backyards, hitting balls into houses if they're wayward. It's a little different down in Scottsdale, but it's still an okay course. Obviously, we're at altitude, so the ball goes a little further into short one. Birdie Fest, kind of a scoring course, but the field's a little better than last week, so I'm excited. And I mentioned this in a tweet. I didn't actually watch a lot on Sunday because there's the NFL, and I tend to watch a lot of the NFL on Sunday. And I guess I'm kind of glad because we found some decent picks on the show for me. And one of them was Mark Hubbard, who, if he had shot par over his final two holes, would have won outright. He bogeyed the final two holes of the tournament, missed the playoff by one. So if he had just shot even par, he was behind at that point, but everyone else kind of fell back to the pack too. So that stings, I guess. That sucks because Hubbard was a nice little 80-1 bet that would have been a lot cooler to get home than not even getting in the playoff. Congrats to Luke List backers. I think I made a joke last week about how I can't back Luke List at like 40-1. It's just not something I'm ever going to do. If you had the Huevos to do that, congrats to you. Won it right off the bat there in that 5-man playoff.
Yeah.
There. That's it was something. That tournament was really something. But yeah, better field, better golfers, good enough course, and let's get into it. What do you know about Summerlin here?
Pretty straightforward. We are, as you mentioned, in elevation here. Playing in elevation is a big factor. So we have a, relatively short 7,200 yard par 71 to begin with, and now when you add the elevation factor, it kind of brings everyone into play. You don't typically see par 71s score like this, right? Because you have the one fewer par 5s, but you're still going to get into the low 20s here. You have to. And I know we have a handful of these during the season. We obviously have a handful in the swing season. It's like, hey, this is just straightforward birdie fest. Again, another one similar to last week where I feel like it's difficult to handicap in the sense that there is no predominant skill set that stands out here. You can really win with a lack of distance because being in elevation is a massive factor. The average drive is a little bit longer, but again, that's more elevation than anything. Fairways are a little bit bigger here than average, but it has been just kind of ironic to say in a birdie fest, hitting the fairways is really important here because the only defense that this course has for the most part is we had a 1 year with wind back with Cantley, I think 2017, 2018. It looks like we're not going to have that this week. We're going to have pretty straight.
No, weather looks perfect. And there are quotes too. So the rough isn't long.
It's not. But the pin placements is the lone defense. You got to be in the fairway.
Yeah. It can grab at the ball a little. It can affect the flight. It can affect the swing a little. It's like you'll probably still hit the green if you're hitting out of the rough, but you're not going to be as accurate. You're not going to be able to throw that dart at these. Like you said, the pin placements are going to be difficult because that's about all you can do to stop people from hitting 30 under here.
And hitting the green's not a big thing because the greens are pretty big.
They're massive. That's what I said. You'll probably find the green, but if you're hitting out of the rough, a lot more chance you lag putting from 50 rather than, you got something inside 20 with a chip chair and a chance. Or, you've seen this every year when people are hitting these short 100 to 150 yard basically fucking wedges for these guys and
Both in the shop.
into these greens
Yeah.
from the fairway. They are throwing darts, they are scoring. The cut line here was 7 under a couple years back. That is insane. That's wild. Like that you could go out there and shoot 6 under for the first 2 days and go home. Just slam the trunk, head down to the Wynn and go get a buffet, I guess. So
yeah,
it is. And like you said, it does add some distance with the elevation, but it's also not a course that a big bomber's going to be able to overpower. Everybody's got a good chance to reach these 5s and 2. Everybody's got a chance to drive these shorter par 4s. None of the 3s are terribly, I guess, terrifying. It's not like there's some scary part. The one has water on both sides. The par 3 later in the
back end,
16, 17, somewhere in there. There's a little bit of water danger. There's some bunkering, but other than that, just find your fairways, hit your shots, try to shoot 5 under every day, go home with the trophy.
Yeah, you're going to have some 61s out there. Like you're going to have a handful of those where just guys are firing 10 under on the day. So to your point, yeah, you can miss the fairway and still find yourself on the green. But if you're not taking advantage and making birdies, I think there was the 8th hole is the only hole. It's a longer par 3. It's the only hole in the course that has a birdie or better rate of less than 10%. So just being on the green doesn't get you anything here. You got to be in the scoreable range. You got to be in the 5 to 10, 10 to 15 putt range and drain them at a high rate to compete here. So, those things make it, I think, very difficult to handicap. We don't have, similar to last week, we don't have a lot of form. You have guys now maybe that played last week, maybe some guys that played at the Fortinet, so we can build off of that a little bit more so as we get into these, consecutive week swing season events is a little bit easier, I guess. I would like to see some guys that weren't just completely shit in the bed last week or not playing. It feels a little bit easier to, put your finger on some guys. So top of the board is, again, I think we're going to see this kid just be at the top of the board in these kind of, poor events is Ludvig Aberg again, 12s basically everywhere. Tom Kim, defending champ here, is basically 11 everywhere. Siwoo was in the mix here. Good for Siwoo. We had the Siwoo. It's kind of off the, unless you're, really in the golf weeds, with Siwoo and Sanjay winning that event to be able to stave off having to do their military service, which is
man. A quick aside there. So that wasn't just like a golf tournament. That was like, like an Asian Games. I can't remember exactly what the name was. There was a bunch of disciplines and sports between a bunch of Asian nations, and the South Korean sent a bunch of different teams, a bunch of different athletes, and there was one guy. Did you see the rollerblading picture?
No.
The guy was winning rollerblading. He pulled up early to celebrate, and somebody from a different country snuck in and beat him by 100th of a second. So 2 years in the army, buddy. Like, that's rough. But yeah, you have mandatory military service as a young man in Korea, and you can get out of it by certain ways. Probably being, the rich son of a government official helps. But another way is to win a gold medal at the Olympics or something like this. And winning this gold medal as a team apparently got him out of it. So that's awesome for them.
Crazy.
It's awesome for us. We get to see these guys play. And yeah, I don't know what kind of headspace Siwoo's in right now. He's got to be feeling good. It's not a bad course for him either. It's not a bad course for anybody who has, a good golf game.
Yeah.
So he's right. He's rightfully, around that 25-1 spot.
Yeah. It's Tom Kim and Aberg kind of ahead of everyone. Next here with Siwoo, Cam Davis. Depending on where you're at, you have Adam Schenk, JT Poston in that next mix too, as guys that are, south of 30. Obviously Tom Kim, you kind of read the quotes of Tom Kim. He love how this fit his eye. Tom Kim is definitely a guy that we like when we can get a wedge in his hands. 150 and in is good for Tom Kim. The putter's not consistent, but he can spike with that in a spot where Tom Kim is not impacted negatively by a lack of distance, although he added some distance last year. It makes sense that Tom Kim is sitting here at the top of the board. We were taken early shots last year. I know I swung at Canadian on Aberg or Olberg. It's definitely someone we want to be long on. It's just hard to get to the top of the board in a spot where the field is kind of condensed into the Marty Lairds of the world can win here. So that makes it a little bit harder for me to go to the very top. Is there anything kind of here in the top tier, say 30 or shorter, that kind of caught your eye, or anything that you fired on?
Yeah, I avoided Aubert last week, just because the price was so short, and I felt vindicated for most of the week. And then weekend, it's like, oh shit, he's right there.
Didn't even play that
Right
well.
there. Like, yeah, he's like, oh, he just kind of took it up a little bit. It's not like he was playing his ass off, and he's like right there to win the tournament. So you do got to kind of still put a lot of respect in his name. Obviously, Tom Kim is probably the class here. Out of that secondary range, the Cam Davis Siwoo thing, I like Siwoo better.
Same.
He's the best tee to green player in the field, probably. He is a guy who, the putting can struggle a little, but I'm not super worried about that. I'm not going to take guys who are, I'm not going to worry about guys who just haven't had consistent, gaining on the putting greens over and over and over. If I wanted that, I guess you can just go bet Eric Cole. Like, he's right there. Eric Cole is 38-40 to 1. Like that's somebody right there for anybody who wants to say, like, I have a guy who can win a putting contest, because that's clearly him. And the rest of the game is probably good enough to get this done. So avoiding Siwoo just on the price. And then I'm not there on Cam Davis. I'm not there. He's another one too, where it's really good tee to green player. He can score. I just wish his price didn't suck.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like Cam Davis, 30-35, I'm fine with, but a little short for my taste here.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I'm with you. Siwoo would be the option for me in that secondary tier, I guess. And now the way that some of the pricing is fallen, that's a little bit where JT Poston is now. 28s for the most part across the board. I grabbed 35 on JT Poston yesterday in the morning. Look, we haven't seen him. He didn't play any of the swing season stuff, but there was, a stretch last year at the back of the season, basically John Deere in, where he just couldn't close the deal, but he was just in the mix. T6 at John Deere, T6 at Scottish. The Open was, 41st. Then, your 3M, second, Wyndham, seventh. Nice showings of the FedEx and the BMW, top 25 finishes. So in the spots where, basically he's punished for his lack of distance for the most part. And that's not really a problem here. And the putter can get white hot, and tee to green is pretty good. The approach game was spot on in that run at the end. He was really good. Really good at the BMW championship with the irons, kept himself in the mix, even though the lack of distance was an issue for him in the end. So I took JT Poston at 35. He's not towards like the, Tom Kim Olberg class of this field, but I think he is in that like Siwoo class in terms of where the rest of this field is, where, starts to open up. And yeah, we like Eric Cole quite a bit. And, Shankus had some nice runs and stuff like that. I just feel like we don't get a lot of wins from JT, but I feel like he kind of belongs in that next group. So 35 felt like a good number, and market seems to agree now that it's gotten a little bit shorter. So Poston was my my first play.
Yeah, you stole my answer. Like, I'm not going to reiterate everything you said, but he was one that was near the top. If you just start looking at, everything, just kind of a composite ranking. I'm like, who has a good enough game over the last 50, 75 rounds? Who plays well in bad fields? Who isn't going to kill us with a bad putting week? Who's tee to green, and obviously whose approach is really good. So he's enough of a fairway finder, and there's still 32, 33s out there. So that was my first ad this morning.
Let's go. All right. We're going to show a winner here.
He's a guy I've bet against for years in matchups. It hurts me, but he played a lot differently.
Yes.
Over the past year. How old do you think JT Poston is? Any guesses? I'll look it up.
I have it. I won't click into it, but I have it definitely on my screen here. JT Poston is 33.
It's only 30.
Okay.
He's another one too. It's just like he's been around, but there's not like some set age where it's like, all right, he's never gonna get it.
Well, look at Eric Cole.
Yeah.
Eric Cole's a rookie last year's 36, 37.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, it's a funny game. You have the Obergs of the world, the Tom Kims of the world, and look at Schenk. I mean, Schenk's been a guy that I'm sure you do a little bit of search on your sheet that you've bet against for years, and he's kind of taken a step up too. So yeah, it's a funny game. Pretty interesting next tier in terms of the betting board with quite a handful of names, guys that we like. Depending on where you're at, we get, like I mentioned, Schenk, Bo Hostler. Bo Hostler's a guy that I just don't bet a lot, and I know some people love Bo Hostler. I know the putting can be okay. I struggle to get there at 35 or 40. JJ Spawn, Eric Cole, Vincent Norman, Adam Hadwin, Tom Hoagie back in the mix here. And you got Andrew Putnam, Nikolai Højgaard, and Adam Svensson. Those are kind of the guys in the 40 range. Although, Griot and Alex Small are in that mix too. So some names that we like to bet on in this next big tier, Andy, that's like 50 or shorter, depending on your book. This is kind of the area we like to live in. I know I rattled off some names there that have been on the cards in the past. Anyone here for you this week?
Yeah, Putnam is a look.
Putnam is a look.
Especially, and I'm going to hunt around. I don't know what you're seeing the best price, but Putnam in the 40s, he's another one too where he's penalized a little for being short off the tee. His off the tee numbers look like shit because he hits it like, he's like a 280-yard driver, man. He is not, which, I mean, I know a lot of us would love to have the averages some of these short guys off the tee have, but it's not great, and he is penalized a little bit for that in those numbers and the ball striking in the tee to green. And he had a really bad fortinet on the greens, but he is a guy who every third week, man, he has like spike putting. He had 10 shots gained on the greens at the Sony Open. That wasn't even a full year ago. God, he's played a lot of golf. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like just a ton of these spike putting rounds or spike putting tournaments where he's gaining 4, 5, 6 strokes or 10 at the Sony. Like he's a guy I could take at 40. He's he's a guy who can win a birdie contest. And I'm not worried about that. Obviously, we've said it 5 times already. I'm not worried about being short off the tee as long as he's finding them.
Yep. Yeah.
So Andy Putz is, just great short game, great approach. He's top 5, top 10 in the field here, probably with his approach. And even if it's a little longer than some of the other guys, it's still like, oh, he's hitting from 160. Give a shit. He's fine.
Yeah. He played some decent golf down the stretch. So yeah, he's definitely worth a look in terms of that next tier for sure. It's a busy tier. I didn't take a shot at anyone. There's a handful of guys in there that I'll be annoyed if they win because they're guys I like to back. But didn't really fire. And it's a condensed field there in that spot where there's just a lot of dudes. You can go back to Ben Griffin if you think that he can emotionally survive what happened last weekend. Yeah. Luke List is in that range to repeat. You want to go back to back. Aaron Rye is a guy that we like to bet a lot. I don't know that I want Aaron Rye on a birdie contest. We know he's going to find fairways and give himself some looks, but I think I want Aaron Rye on a harder track. That's just kind of how and that might not be fair, but that's kind of where I'm at with him. But it's a busy range. You didn't fire on anyone? They just Putnam's the short list guy. He's the top of the short list.
Yeah. I'm trying to look where the price is on this guy. He is Canadian Andy Putz. He's going to be about 45 to 1. And the same kind of build, the same archetype in Adam Hadwin, where he's not long off the tee, but he can get really hot on the greens, sure. And it's a really good approach game. Like I just started digging into him, kind of seeing how he did in the swing season. He gained almost 5 strokes on the greens here last year. He played well. He got 10th place here. He played well at the Houston. It was a good enough swing season. Like he's a class above at certain points for some of these mid-range guys. So
he likes it here too. It looks like he's got 3 top 10s in the last 4 years here.
Yeah, he's one I can get at 48 at Chris. So I think that's a buy for me. I'm going to do this the whole swing season. I'm just going to fill my card up during the show.
I like it. Yeah,
I had posted circled. That was like it, man. Yeah, I didn't have a ton. I kind of wanted to hear what you were what your process was here, but it is just give me some guys who aren't going to screw this up too bad. Get to the greens, give them some opportunities, and spike their way to 20 under.
Yeah, I like Hadwin. That's a really good number because everything in the domestics is basically 35. There is a 40 on MGM if you can get anything down there, but everything else pretty much is 35 domestically on Hadwin. So you have heard a little bit in terms of when you hear the guys talk about this place, where I do think as easy as it is, and again, like, it kind of flies in the face of last year, right? Tom Kim wins in his debut. We've had debut winners here, but I do think in general there is something to be said, especially if you're building a card with matchups or finishing positions. I kind of would lean and see a little bit in terms of course history, just the familiarity with these bigger greens and how this is going to play a little bit. I do think there's something to it a little bit this week in terms of guys having solid repeat finishes, and that's why Shank makes a lot of sense. He's played really well here. Hadwin makes a lot of sense. He's played really well here. If you go towards the top of the board, I mean, JT Poston, 20th last year, 27th a couple years ago, some other years where he, didn't play or missed the cut. Putnam's another guy, 3 top 20s in the last 4 years here. So some of those things do matter a little bit to me here, as much as that might not make sense considering it's an easy course. Then you also have like desert golf, or guys that call Vegas home, guys that are, that play out here occasionally. I think that makes some sense too. And that's kind of my next guy. He's a birdie maker. I want to continue to find ways to get in on a little bit of like what I perceive to be his baseline skill, a little bit of like the prospect in him, because all those buddies are out there playing Ryder Cups. But Justin Suh is out here.
I looked at it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, you see, I mean, there's not a lot statistically if you're modeling stats that's going to get you to Justin Suh, because some of the stuff is just, he's all over the map occasionally. Approach can be inconsistent. But last couple times out, it's been decent. 24th at the Omega Masters, really good approach week. Gained at Fortnite at approach. And then the putting is awesome. He can make putts like crazy. It's gonna not be impacted by the negative distance here.
You're talking me into this one.
It's 60 or so.
All right, I'm gonna bet this. I'm gonna join you. He was somebody I looked at. I looked at it for a minute. I shook it off.
Oh yeah, there's some ugliness in there.
Great putter.
Yes,
great putter. Can certainly go out there, gain 6-7 strokes on the greens this weekend. Win this tournament. This is the kind of field he could win in. He had some good finishes. He played well at the Players. He has some good tournaments under his belt. Okay at the Fortinet. Horrible around the green.
Oh yeah, consistently
horrible. So, but we're gonna do the thing we've done with Victor in the past. Before he got good, we're gonna say, if he's not hitting the greens, it doesn't matter anyway.
Correct.
Like, if he has to rely on his chipping around the green, if he missed this 1.5 acre green, already has to chip, it's dead anyway. So if that weakness in his game is exploited, it doesn't matter anyway. So you can kind of just throw out his around the green play, look at everything else, say this guy has been an elite putter at times. He's been great off the tee. He was good tee to green and off the tee at the Fortinet. He's, just an average distance guy, but a good greens and regulation guy, which everybody's going to be this week. And the final reason that I would consider and am playing him is because I just found a 70.
Oh, it's a good number.
That's a big number.
It is.
Guy, so yeah.
I took a 60. The 70 is a nice
7. Like, well, I was seeing like 50s everywhere. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. 70 is a pretty big price on this guy.
Yeah, because you're getting 50 now. You're in a close range where some of those other guys we already talked about are just significantly better. Like, I'm gonna back Svensson or Putnam or Hadwin or even Smalley. Davis Thompson is another young kid I think is, someone that's interesting coming up here. That makes more sense. But when you're, 60, 70, you're kind of falling back into the next tier, and 10 points will matter quite a bit. So, yeah, I like that quite a bit. He's all I have. I just have those two. I did consider some of these other guys because it's such a wild ride of an event. Like I didn't take Akshay. I want to take Akshay again. There's 90s out there on Akshay. Taylor Montgomery was so bad last year. But I think he plays here a ton. He's another Vegas guy. And when he's good, he just makes a ton of putts because you have such wild swings here. If there's a guy that maybe profiles and he's not maybe making the putts, but he's kind of maybe a higher baseline putter, I think there might be some opportunities for live ads here because you can have some pretty drastic swings. Like I said, we're going to see multiple 61s, 62s, guys going out shooting 9, 10 under in a round. And all of a sudden you went from, being 13 back and now you're in the final 2 or 3 groups on Sunday. So those live ads might be something that I save a few shekels for here in tournament versus, getting really heavy on the outright pre-tournament. So that's all I got.
Yeah, smaller bets for me again. It's just the same as last week where I'm taking a unit and splitting it up 4 ways. But Poston 32, Hadwin 48, Putnam 40, and Justin Suh 70. I think that's going to be the whole card.
Let's get a show in.
I need somebody. I need the each way bets. Apparently, my guys continue to play well, not quite get it done, that's the nature of betting golf outright. So hopefully I just find a little extra time. I wanted to, couldn't do it, just didn't run into the time to do matchups. I didn't want to half-ass it and just put out some plays I wasn't super comfortable with. So I'm going to try to find some extra time tomorrow afternoon and put together some matchups because I do love matchups. Just the most fun tracking because your guy can be 5 over, but sometimes it's still sweat. The other guy's 4 over. Right. All right. These guys are missing the cut, but we still have a battle.
Yeah. Don't, the old Ron Swanson quotes, don't half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing. So
there you go.
Make sure you can whole-ass the matchups. But, it's definitely – hopefully we don't see any 5 overs here. I'd be very surprised.
If somebody shoots, there's always somebody in the field.
There is always someone. Yeah.
Or it's oh, my God, is this guy playing the same course?
Yeah.
Guess what? Tommy Gainey's here. Kyle Westmoreland. I was Westmoreland, is he a little longer off the tee? He's a bomber.
Wasn't he a Red Sox?
Was he a relief pitcher for the Phillies? Isaiah Salinda. Yeah, some of these guys I don't really know. They could always go out there and shoot a blow up round, but no. Lexi Thompson might just no disrespect to a great golfer. But
she'd whoop us.
She's not even in form right now. It's not great timing for her. She's not even in form on her tour. So, her to make the cut, I saw prop was 25 to 1. If you guys want a fun tickler to put on Lexi Thompson here,
it's probably fun.
Hopefully she can, shoot 5 under. So, I think that's it. I don't have a lot more. We'll reconvene next time when we have our swing season sale. If you want to get into the Discord and see everything Ron puts together every week, that guy's putting out a ton of, every bet he likes. He ranks them as far as which ones he'd put the most confidence in. He does, all the DFS work every week. He's putting out stuff behind the paywall on the site and in the Discord. $200 a year for the whole season. Right now, $50 off because it's swing season. Probably about the lowest price you're going to get all year. And there's no special link you have to click, nothing fancy. It's just the promo code on the screen there, swing50. Swing50 if you're listening. BetSportsGolf.com. Click on sign up and put that promo code in. It'll knock $50 off a yearly membership. Again, some people took advantage of it last week. It's about as low as the price is ever going to be, and we're just doing it because it's football season, giving you diehards a little bit of a bonus.
Yeah, you want to model some of your own stuff. You can use the customizable stat database, which is going to be version 2 this year, and we're really excited about that. Work is already happening on the back end to improve that, add stats, fine tune it to allow you to build any model. There's stats in our database that are not out there with our competitors. With all due respect, we just have some extra stuff. And you like modeling golf, you like building your own stuff to land on your own guys, you're going to be able to do that with our database. So again, obviously get all the articles, tools, picks. The Discord is, I think, a ton of fun. Just chatting golf with the guys. We do a subscriber only chat when we're in season, on Wednesdays, final weather, DFS, anything that you want to do, bets, all that stuff. So betspertsgolf.com, check it out. Use that swing season 50 stuff. And let's get some winners, Andy.
Yeah, you get into chat and compare your MGM free polls. See what everyone has. There's guys want to talk prize picks. There's guys want to do the promo bets and stuff. So a little bit of everything in there. Check it out. If you have any questions, our Twitter handles are on the screen and in the show notes. DM me or Ryan if you have any issues, questions, comments, or anything. Good luck to you this week. Good luck to your football teams. Good luck to your baseball teams. Good luck to you in general. Happy Souptober, and we'll catch you on the flip side.